Captain Kim Tae-ho walked slowly across the bridge of his starship, the Iron Phoenix. The metal floor made soft clicking sounds under his boots as he moved from one station to another. Outside the big windows he could see thousands of stars shining, like tiny diamonds against the black space. Some were white, some were yellow, and a few glowed red or blue in the distance. The Iron Phoenix was not the biggest ship in the human defense fleet, but it was one of the smartest. The ship was as long as 3 football fields put together, and its hull was painted dark gray with blue stripes along the sides. 800 crew members lived and worked inside this floating city among the stars. They had been traveling together for 6 months and had become like one big family. Kim stood near the captain's chair looking out at the peaceful view of space. His black hair was cut short in military style, and his brown eyes showed the wisdom of someone who had seen many battles. He wore the dark blue uniform of the Earth Defense Forces with silver captain bars on his collar. At 35 years old, he was young for a starship captain, but he had earned his rank through years of dangerous missions. The bridge was the heart of the ship where all the important decisions were made. Computer screens glowed softly, showing information about the ship's speed, direction, and power levels. The air smelled clean and fresh thanks to the life support systems that kept everyone breathing. Soft humming sounds came from the machines that never stopped working to keep the ship running. Lieutenant Park Min-ho sat at the navigation station studying star charts on his computer screen. He was 28 years old with friendly eyes and quick fingers that danced over the control buttons. His job was to guide the ship safely through space, avoiding asteroids and dangerous areas. Right now he was planning their route back home to Earth after their long patrol mission in the outer territories. At the communications station, Lieutenant Lee So-young listened to radio messages from nearby space stations and trading posts. She was 26 years old with long black hair tied back in a neat ponytail. Her ears were trained to pick up even the smallest sounds that might mean trouble or important news. The radio chatter was normal today, mostly traders talking about cargo prices and space traffic reports. The ship's artificial intelligence system was nicknamed Nabi by the crew, which meant butterfly in Korean. Nabi's voice was soft and pleasant, like a helpful friend who was always ready to answer questions. The AI could control thousands of systems at once, making sure everything worked perfectly. Right now, Nabi was running routine checks on all the ship's equipment, looking for any problems that might need fixing. Down in the engine room, Chief Engineer Yoon Jae-min watched over the massive fusion reactors that powered the ship. He was 40 years old with strong hands stained by years of working with machinery. The reactors were like artificial suns contained in special chambers that turned hydrogen into energy. They hummed with power, providing electricity for everything from the lights to the weapon systems. Captain Kim felt something strange in his stomach, like butterflies dancing inside him. In his 20 years as a space officer, he had learned to trust these feelings. They had saved his life and his crew many times before. Something about today felt different from all the other quiet days of their patrol mission. The space around them seemed too empty, too quiet, like the calm before a big storm. He walked over to the sensor station where Specialist Choi Hae-jin was monitoring the area around their ship. She was 24 years old with sharp eyes that could spot trouble from very far away. Her computer screen showed green dots representing friendly ships, blue dots for space stations, and red dots for anything dangerous. Right now, all the screens showed mostly empty space with just a few distant merchant vessels. The Iron Phoenix had been patrolling the outer RIM territories for 6 months, checking on human colonies and trading posts. It was usually boring work, with long days of traveling through empty space. The crew had gotten used to the peaceful routine of their mission. They played games, read books, and talked about their families back on Earth. Many of them were looking forward to going home after such a long time away. But Captain Kim could not shake the feeling that something was about to happen. His military training had taught him to always be ready for trouble, even during peaceful times. The universe was a big place full of unknown dangers and mysteries. Humanity had only been exploring the stars for a few hundred years, and there was still so much They did not know. The crew respected their captain and trusted his judgment completely. Kim had led them through asteroid fields, pirate attacks, and dangerous storms in space. He always made the right decisions and never put his people in unnecessary danger. When he gave an order, everyone followed it without question because they knew he cared about their safety. As Kim stood there watching the stars, he thought about his crew and their families waiting at home. Lieutenant Park had a wife and 2 young children who sent him pictures every week. Communications Officer Lee was engaged to marry her boyfriend when they returned to Earth. Engineer Yoon had a daughter starting college who wanted to become a doctor. Every person on the ship had someone special waiting for them. The captain's job was to make sure they all made it home safely. He had promised their families that he would bring them back, and he intended to keep that promise. But the strange feeling in his stomach was getting stronger, like a warning bell ringing in his mind. His hands moved automatically to check his uniform, making sure everything was in place in case they suddenly needed to go into action. Suddenly, the peaceful quiet of the bridge was broken by an urgent beeping sound from the sensor station. Specialist Choi looked up from her screens with worry in her eyes. Her voice was calm and professional, but Kim could hear the concern underneath her words. "Sir, we are picking up multiple energy signatures approaching from the port side," she reported. The sensor reading showed 12 large objects moving toward them at incredible speed. They were much too big to be asteroids and moving far too fast to be friendly merchant ships. Captain Kim felt his heart start beating faster as his worst fears began to come true. The peaceful patrol mission was about to become something much more dangerous. He looked around at his crew, seeing the same realization in their eyes. The calm before the storm was over, and the storm itself was rushing toward them through the darkness of space. The time for relaxation and peaceful routine had ended. Now it was time to see what the Iron Phoenix and her brave crew were really made of. The 12 strange objects came closer and closer to the Iron Phoenix, moving through space like giant metal sharks hunting their prey. Captain Kim watched the main screen as the computer tried to figure out what these mysterious vessels were. The ships were huge, each one 3 times bigger than his own warship. Their dark hulls seemed to absorb light, making them look like pieces of the night sky that had come alive. Red alert! Kim ordered, his voice cutting through the quiet of the bridge. "All hands to battle stations, raise shields and charge weapons." The bridge lights immediately changed from white to red, and alarm bells started ringing throughout the entire ship. The sound echoed in every corridor and room, telling the 800 crew members that danger was coming. Lieutenant Park Min-ho quickly saved his navigation charts and switched his station to tactical mode. His peaceful job of plotting courses home was suddenly replaced by the need to help his ship survive a battle. Communications Officer Lee So-young put on her headset and started monitoring all radio frequencies, looking for any clues about who these strangers might be. Down in the engine room, Chief Engineer Yoon Jae-min heard the alarm and immediately began bringing all systems to full power. The fusion reactors that had been running quietly suddenly roared to life. Like sleeping dragons waking up, power flowed through every cable and wire in the ship, making lights brighter and computers faster. The crew and engineering moved quickly, checking gauges and adjusting controls all over the Iron Phoenix. Crew members dropped what they were doing and ran to their battle stations. Cooks left their kitchens. Mechanics grabbed their tools, and medical staff prepared the hospital bay for possible wounded. Everyone had trained for this moment, but none of them had expected it to happen so far from home in the middle of empty space. The alien ships arranged themselves in a perfect circle around the lone human vessel. Their movements were smooth and coordinated, like a dance they had practiced many times before. Each ship took its position with military precision, showing that these beings were experienced warriors. The largest ship moved to the front of the formation, clearly marking itself as the leader. Captain Kim studied the enemy vessels on his screen, trying to learn everything he could about his opponents. The ships were not like anything in human records. Their hulls were covered with strange symbols that seemed to glow with their own inner light. Weapon ports lined their sides like rows of angry eyes and energy. Readings showed they had power sources unlike anything humans had ever seen. The biggest alien ship suddenly came alive with Activity lights flashed along its communication array and energy patterns showed they were preparing to send a message. The bridge crew of the Iron Phoenix waited tensely as their computers worked to decode the alien transmission sir incoming message. From the enemy flagship reported Lee So-young. They are using our own communication frequencies somehow, but I do not know how they learned them. Audio and visual coming through now. The main screen flickered and changed, showing the inside of the alien command bridge. The sight made several crew members gasp in surprise. The alien commander was tall and thin with gray skin that looked like old metal. His body had 4 arms instead of 2 and his eyes were completely black like pools of oil. When he opened his mouth, they could see rows of sharp teeth designed for tearing meat. His voice was deep and harsh like the sound of grinding stone. I am War Commander Vex of the mighty Kral Empire, the alien said. Each word dripped with arrogance and threat. You pathetic creatures have entered territory that belongs to our great civilization. Your species is unknown to us, but that matters very little. Surrender your ship immediately and prepare to be destroyed if you refuse. Captain Kim stepped forward, keeping his back straight and his voice steady. He had dealt with pirates and hostile aliens before, but never anything quite like this. This is Captain Kim Tae-ho of the United Earthship Iron Phoenix, he replied. We are traveling peacefully through this region on our way home. We have no knowledge of any territorial claims in this area. Perhaps we can discuss this matter and find a peaceful solution. War Commander Vex laughed, and the sound was like metal scraping against stone. Diplomacy is for weak creatures, he snarled. We are the Kral, the greatest warriors in the galaxy. We have conquered and destroyed civilizations that ruled entire star systems. Your pathetic single ship is nothing compared to our mighty fleet. The alien commander gestured with one of his 4 arms and pointed directly at the screen. You creatures look soft and weak like all the other species we have crushed. Your technology appears primitive and your ship is tiny. This will be over quickly. Prepare to die. Vex continued speaking, and his voice grew louder and more threatening. We have destroyed planets and turned entire solar systems into graveyards. No force in the universe can stand against the power of the Kral Empire. Your species will be remembered only as another footnote in our history of conquest. Captain Kim felt anger rising in his chest, but he kept his voice calm and professional. You are making a serious mistake, Commander Vex. Humanity may be new to this region of space, but we are not helpless. We prefer peace, but we are fully capable of defending ourselves. The alien commander made a dismissive gesture with 2 of his arms. Peace is the language of cowards and weaklings, he said. Your words mean nothing to us. Action is all we understand. This is your final warning. Power down all weapons and prepare to be boarded, or we will blow your ship into tiny pieces. Before Captain Kim could respond, the screen went dark. War Commander Vex had ended the communication immediately. Red lights started flashing on the alien ships and energy readings spiked as their weapon systems came online. The 12 Kral warships began moving into attack positions like wolves surrounding a lone deer. Sir, they are charging all weapon systems. Reported weapons. Officer Han Dong-wook, multiple plasma cannon arrays and some kind of particle beam technology I have never seen before. They will have target lock in 30 seconds. Captain Kim looked around at his bridge crew. These brave men and women had followed him through many dangerous situations. They trusted him to make the right decisions and keep them alive so they could return home to their families. He would not let them down no matter what the odds. Alien ships were huge and powerful, but Kim had something they did not expect. He had human determination and the finest crew in the galaxy. All right, people, he said, his voice filled with confidence. It looks like they want to fight, so let us show these Kral warriors what humans are really made of. The Iron Phoenix might be outnumbered 12-1, but Captain Kim knew his ship had advantages the aliens could not imagine. Human engineering and technology had been developed through centuries of innovation, and the crew had trained together until they moved like parts of a single machine. The battle was about to begin, and the galaxy was about to learn that attacking humans was a very dangerous mistake. The Iron Phoenix was much more than just a warship floating in space. It was a masterpiece of human engineering and science representing hundreds of years of learning and building. Every piece of metal, every wire, and every computer chip had been designed by the smartest people on Earth and all her colonies. The ship was proof that humans could create amazing things when they worked together. Chief Engineer Yoon Jae-min had spent 5 years learning every detail of this incredible machine. He knew where every power cable ran and how every system connected to the others. He could find any problem and fix it faster than anyone else in the fleet. "Captain, all systems are running perfectly," he reported over the communication system fusion. "Reactors are at full power and operating smoothly. Our new quantum shield generators are fully charged and ready to protect us." The ship's main weapons were something special that made other species jealous. Twin plasma cannons could fire beams of energy hot enough to melt solid steel from thousands of kilometers away. The missile tubes were loaded with antimatter warheads that could punch holes through the thickest armor ever made. But the most impressive part of the Iron Phoenix was not its weapons, but its defenses. The quantum shields were a breakthrough that human scientists had worked on for 50 years. They could absorb huge amounts of energy and redirect it back at enemies. The technology used principles of physics that most alien species had never discovered. The shields could turn an enemy's own weapons against them, making the Iron Phoenix stronger every time it was attacked. The ship's armor was made from a special metal alloy that could repair itself when damaged. Tiny robots called nanobots lived inside the armor and could rebuild broken sections at the speed of light. The hull could take massive hits and heal itself like living skin, making the ship almost impossible to destroy. Completely systems specialist. OG-1 monitored all the defensive systems from her station. She was 25 years old with quick reflexes and an amazing ability to understand complex technology. "Sir, the quantum field generators are online and operating at maximum efficiency," she reported. "The self-repairing armor is ready and all nanobots are active." Suddenly, the space around the Iron Phoenix exploded with light and energy. The 12 alien ships fired all their weapons at once, creating a display of destruction that could be seen from other star systems. The combined firepower was enough to destroy a small moon or completely wipe out a space station. Beams of plasma and particle energy streaked through space like angry lightning bolts. The massive attack struck the Iron Phoenix's quantum shields with tremendous force. The ship shook slightly from the impact but remained steady and undamaged. On the bridge, the crew watched their computer displays with growing amazement. The shields were not just stopping the alien weapons, they were actually absorbing all that energy and storing it for their own use. Shield efficiency at 98% reported. OG-1 with excitement in her voice, "We are not losing power, we are actually gaining energy from their attack. The quantum field generators are converting their weapon energy directly into our power systems. So we now have more power than when the battle started." Captain Kim smiled for the first time since the aliens had appeared. This was exactly what the Earth scientists had promised, but seeing it work in real combat was still amazing. "Our technology works even better than expected," he said. "Let us see how these Crow warriors handle a little surprise of our own on the alien flagship war." Commander Vex stared at his tactical screens in complete shock. His sensors showed that the human ship had taken a direct hit from weapons powerful enough to destroy an entire city. Instead of being vaporized, the strange vessel appeared to be completely undamaged. How was this possible? No ship in the galaxy could survive such an attack. "Impossible!" Vex roared at his crew. "Our plasma cannons are the most powerful weapons known to any civilization. Fire again. All ships, maximum power. I want that human ship turned into space dust immediately." The alien crews worked frantically to recharge their weapons. The Krall had conquered dozens of worlds and defeated hundreds of enemy fleets. Their technology had never failed them before. Every species they had encountered had surrendered or died when faced with their superior firepower. But something was very wrong with this situation. The second alien attack was even more intense than the first. All 12 warships poured every bit of power into their weapons, creating an energy storm that lit up the darkness of space. The beams were so bright they would have blinded anyone looking directly at them. The heat was so intense it could have melted asteroids into liquid metal. But again, the Iron Phoenix absorbed every bit of energy like a sponge soaking up water. The quantum shields glowed brighter and brighter as they converted the alien weapons into pure power that flowed into the human ship systems. The more the aliens attacked, the stronger the Iron Phoenix became. Engineering reports, "We now have twice our normal power levels," announced Chief Engineer Yoon over the ship's communication system. All weapon systems are supercharged and ready to fire. Our engines are running beyond maximum efficiency, sir. We have never had this much power available before. Captain Kim felt the excitement building among his crew. They were no longer the victims in this fight. They had become something much more dangerous. The Krau Empire was about to learn that human engineering was far more advanced than they had imagined. These aliens had made the mistake of thinking that bigger always meant better navigation. Give me evasive pattern Delta 7, Kim ordered. The Iron Phoenix suddenly burst into motion, twisting and turning through space with incredible grace and speed. The aliens had expected a slow, lumbering target, but instead found themselves trying to hit a ship that moved like a dancer. The human warship was not just tough, it was also fast and smart. Every system had been designed to work together in perfect harmony. The crew had trained together for years until they could operate the ship like it was an extension of their own bodies. When one person made a decision, everyone else instantly supported that choice. Lieutenant Shin Bo-ram, the tactical officer, had been studying the enemy formation during the attacks. Sir, I have completed analysis of their battle patterns, she reported. The Krau are using very old-fashioned tactics. They keep their ships far apart and try to win through raw firepower alone. Their vessels are much larger than ours, but they are also much slower. This was exactly the kind of information Captain Kim needed to plan his counterattack. The aliens thought they were fighting a primitive species that would be easy to defeat. They had no idea they were facing the most advanced military technology humanity had ever created. The Iron Phoenix was about to show them the difference between size and intelligence. All right, people, Kim announced to his entire crew, it is time to teach these Krau warriors what happens when they mess with humans. The third alien attack came with even more fury than the previous two. All 12 Krau warships fired simultaneously, creating a storm of energy that turned space itself into a burning battlefield. The combined firepower could have destroyed an entire fleet of normal vessels, but the Iron Phoenix was far from normal. Captain Kim had not spent 20 years fighting across the galaxy without learning how to turn the enemy's strength against them. Navigation. Give me evasive pattern Delta 7. He commanded. Lieutenant Park. Minho's fingers moved over his controls like a pianist playing a complex song. The Iron Phoenix began a series of movements that seemed almost impossible for such a large ship. It twisted through space like a leaf, dancing in the wind, making it much harder for the alien gunners to aim their weapons accurately. The ship spun and rolled, avoiding most of the enemy fire, while its quantum shields absorbed the energy that did hit. The crew felt only gentle movements, as the ship's artificial gravity kept them comfortable and stable. Even during these wild maneuvers, they could work at their stations without being thrown around like objects in a shaking box. Tactical analysis complete, Captain reported Lieutenant Shin Bo-ram, the ship's tactical officer. She was 27 years old with a brilliant mind for military strategy. Enemy vessels are using standard formation tactics from about 200 years ago. They keep their ships spread out and try to overwhelm targets with raw firepower. Their ships are much larger than ours, but they are also much slower and less maneuverable. Kim nodded as he studied the tactical display. This was exactly what he had been thinking. The Krau fought like ancient armies that lined up in rows and marched straight at their enemies. They had probably won many battles through sheer size and power, but they had never faced an opponent who could think faster and move quicker. The alien ships were indeed massive and impressive, but they were also predictable. Their captains followed the same attack patterns their species had used for centuries. They expected their enemies to either run away in fear or stand still and trade shots until the weaker side was destroyed, but humans had learned to fight differently. Weapons target the enemy flagship, Kim ordered. I want a full spread of quantum torpedoes followed by concentrated plasma cannon fire. Engineering, divert all the energy we absorbed from their shields to our weapon systems. We are going to hit them with their own power, turn back against them. The Iron Phoenix suddenly accelerated, using its superior speed and agility to close the distance with the alien flagship. The movement caught the Krau completely off guard. They had expected the humans to continue defending themselves or try to run away. Instead, the small human ship was charging directly at their most powerful vessel like a warrior. Rushing into battle, War Commander Vex watched in shock as the human ship approached his massive flagship at high speed. What are these creatures doing? He demanded of his bridge Crew, are they completely insane? They cannot possibly hope to damage our ship with such a desperate attack. All vessels concentrate all fire on that human ship, destroy it immediately, but the alien crews were confused and frightened. Their most powerful weapons had done nothing to hurt the enemy ship. Instead of weakening their target, each attack seemed to make it stronger. The human vessel glowed with absorbed energy like a star preparing to explode. None of them had ever seen technology like this before. The Iron Phoenix fired 6 quantum torpedoes in perfect sequence, each one following a different path through space. The advanced warheads used technology that bent space and time itself, allowing them to bypass enemy shields and strike directly against the hull. The explosions created brief tears in reality that caused massive damage to the alien ship's structure. Before the Kral could understand what had happened, twin plasma beams followed the torpedo attack. The beams were supercharged with energy absorbed from the aliens' own weapons, and they cut through the flagship's armor like a hot knife slicing through butter. The concentrated fire found weak points in the alien ship's design and exploited them with surgical precision. Secondary explosions erupted along the massive ship's hull as vital systems were destroyed. Power conduits ruptured, sending electrical fires racing through the interior. Weapon batteries went offline and the main engine sputtered and died. The pride of the Kral fleet was suddenly a crippled giant drifting helplessly, and Space Direct Hit shouted, "Weapons!" Officer Han Dong-wook with excitement. Enemy flagship has lost main engines, primary weapons, and life support systems. They are dead in space, sir. The bridge crew cheered as they watched the massive alien ship go dark. Section by section, the remaining 11 Kral ships stopped firing, their crew members staring in disbelief at what had just happened. Their most powerful vessel, the ship that had led them to victory in 100 battles, had been crippled in less than 30 seconds by a vessel 1/3 its size. It seemed impossible, but the evidence floated before their eyes. Commander Grix, now the highest-ranking officer in the Kral fleet, opened an emergency communication channel. His voice shook with fear and confusion as he tried to understand what had happened. "This cannot be real," he transmitted. "No single ship should be able to defeat our entire fleet." "What kind of monsters are you humans?" Captain Kim's response was calm and steady, showing no emotion, even though his heart was beating fast with the excitement of battle. "We are not monsters, Commander. We are human beings. We are explorers, scientists, teachers, and artists. But when someone threatens our people, we become something else entirely. We become protectors, and there is no force in the universe more dangerous than humans protecting what they love." Captain paused, letting his words sink in through the translation systems. "Your war commander made a terrible mistake. He looked at our single ship and assumed we were weak. He forgot that maybe we only needed one ship, because this one ship represents the best of our entire civilization." The remaining alien vessels began to move away from the Iron Phoenix, but Captain Kim was not finished. His duty was to protect Earth and all human colonies from future threats. These aliens had proven they were aggressive and dangerous. If he let them escape, they might return with an even larger fleet to attack human settlement Sol ships. "This is your final warning." Kim broadcast on all communication frequencies. "You came here looking for a fight, and you found one, but this does not end with you running away. You need to understand that humanity will not tolerate unprovoked attacks on our people or our friends." The Iron Phoenix began moving toward the nearest alien ship, its weapon systems fully charged and ready to fire. The quantum shields continued to glow with absorbed energy, and the crew worked with deadly efficiency. Every person knew their job and performed it perfectly. The human ship moved through space like a predator stalking its prey. The galaxy was about to learn that attacking humans was the worst mistake any species could make. The destruction of their flagship sent waves of panic through the entire Kral fleet. These warriors had conquered dozens of star systems and defeated civilizations that had fought desperately for their survival. They had never encountered a species that could match their military might, let alone completely overwhelm it with a single vessel. Commander Grix tried to maintain control of his remaining ships, but fear was spreading like a disease through his crews. The Kral had built their empire on the belief that they were the strongest species in the galaxy. Now that belief was crashing down around them like a house made of cards. "This is impossible," Grix transmitted to the human ship, his voice breaking with emotion. "No single vessel should Be able to defeat our entire fleet? What kind of devils are you, humans? How do you possess such terrible power? Captain Kim stood calmly on his bridge, surrounded by his crew, who worked with quiet efficiency even in the middle of this intense battle. We are not devils, he replied in a steady voice. We are human beings who love peace and friendship. But we are also fierce defenders when someone threatens our families and our way of life. The captain gestured toward his crew members, each one focused on their duties. Your war commander made a critical error in judgment. He assumed that because we had only one ship we must be weak. He never considered that perhaps we only needed one ship because this ship carries the combined knowledge and determination of our entire species. Kim paused and looked directly into the communication screen. Every person on this vessel represents years of training and education. They carry within themselves the hopes and dreams of billions of humans across dozens of worlds. When you attacked us, you were not just fighting 800 crew members. You were fighting the entire human race. The remaining alien ships tried to retreat, but they moved slowly compared to the swift Iron Phoenix. Captain Kim had no intention of letting these aggressors escape to possibly return with reinforcements. His responsibility was to protect not just his own crew, but all human colonies and settlements throughout known space engineering. I need everything you can give me, Kim called to Chief Engineer Yoon Jae-min. Sir, I have been working on modifications to our plasma cannon systems. Using all the energy we absorb from their attacks, we can now fire a concentrated beam that is 10 times more powerful than our normal maximum output. Perfect, Kim replied without hesitation. Make it happen. The modified plasma cannon charged with energy that made the air itself hum with power. The beam that emerged was like a sword of pure light cutting through the darkness of space. It struck the second Krall warship exactly in the center, slicing completely through the massive hull from front to back. The enormous alien vessel split into two pieces that drifted apart in the vacuum of space. Secondary explosions rippled along both sections as atmosphere rushed out through the massive breach. Escape pods began launching from both halves, carrying the surviving crew members to safety. 10 ships remaining, sir, reported Lieutenant Shin Bo-ram. They are attempting to form a defensive formation, but their coordination is falling apart. I believe their commanders are starting to panic. This was exactly what Captain Kim had hoped to achieve. Fear was often more powerful than any weapon, more effective than missiles or energy beams in breaking an enemy's will to fight. The Krall were learning that humans were not the easy prey they had expected. The alien commanders had spent their careers bullying weaker species into submission. They were used to enemies who begged for mercy or tried to negotiate when faced with superior firepower, but humans fought differently. When threatened, they became more dangerous, not less. Commander Grix watched his fleet falling apart around him. Ships that had once moved in perfect formation now scattered like frightened animals. Their crews were brave warriors who had never known defeat, but now they faced something beyond their understanding. Human captain, please, Grix transmitted desperately. We surrender. We did not know your species was so powerful. We thought you were just another weak civilization that could be easily conquered. Please show mercy to my remaining crews. Captain Kim considered the alien commander's words carefully. His response would be remembered and transmitted across the galaxy. It would become part of humanity's reputation among the stars. We will show mercy to those who surrender, he said. But first you must understand something important. The Iron Phoenix moved closer to the nearest alien ship, its weapons trained on the enemy vessel, but not firing. Humanity desires peace and friendship with all intelligent species. We welcome trade, cultural exchange, and cooperation in exploring the mysteries of the universe, but we will never tolerate unprovoked aggression. Kim's voice became stronger and more commanding. Any civilization that chooses to make war against humanity or our allies will face the same fate as your fleet today. We do not seek conquest or domination, but we will defend ourselves and our friends with everything we have. The captain looked around at his bridge crew, seeing pride and determination in their faces. These men and women represented the best qualities of their species: intelligence, courage, compassion, and an unbreakable spirit. When facing danger together, they had sent a message that would echo across the galaxy. The remaining Krall ships powered down their weapons and activated their distress beacons, the universal signal for surrender. Their crews waited nervously to see what the humans would do next. Would they show the mercy they had promised, or would they complete the destruction of the fleet captain? Kim had already made his decision. Human beings did not slaughter helpless enemies or take revenge beyond what justice required. They were better than that, and the galaxy needed to know it. All ships prepare rescue operations, he ordered. We have wounded beings who need medical attention. The Iron Phoenix began moving toward the damaged vessels, its medical teams preparing to help the injured aliens. This act of mercy would be as important as the military victory in establishing humanity's reputation among the stars. The day would be remembered not just for the defeat of the Krau fleet, but for the compassion shown afterward. The battle lasted exactly 18 minutes and 43 seconds from the first alien attack to the final surrender. 10 Krau warships fled into hyperspace carrying news of their defeat back to their home empire. 2 ships had been completely destroyed, and their mighty flagship drifted powerless in space. The greatest military force the Krau had ever assembled had been utterly defeated by a single human vessel captain. Kim Tae-ho stood on his bridge looking out at the debris field that marked the end of the conflict. Pieces of alien technology floated in space like the remains of broken dreams. His crew worked efficiently, scanning the area for survivors and gathering intelligence about these new enemies. The ship's medical bay was already preparing to treat wounded aliens. Sir, we are receiving a priority transmission from the damaged flagship, reported Communications Officer Lee So-young. It is War Commander Vex himself. He is requesting permission to speak with you directly. The alien commander appeared on the main screen, but he looked very different from the arrogant warrior who had threatened them earlier. Burns covered parts of his gray skin, and one of his forearms hung useless at his side. His black eyes no longer held the fire of conquest, but the dull pain of complete defeat. Human Captain Vex spoke slowly, as if each word caused him physical pain. In 300 years of expansion and conquest, the Krau Empire has never been defeated by a single ship. How is this possible? What manner of beings are you? Kim considered his response carefully, knowing that his words would be recorded and transmitted across the galaxy. They would become part of humanity's first impression on countless alien civilizations who had never heard of Earth or its people. We are human beings, Commander Vex, Kim replied with dignity. We are curious explorers who prefer peaceful contact and friendship, but we are also fierce protectors when our people are threatened. Your empire made the mistake of judging us by our numbers rather than our capabilities. The captain gestured to his crew, who continued working with calm professionalism. Each person on this ship represents the finest qualities of our species. They are scientists, engineers, warriors, artists, and dreamers. They carry within them the accumulated knowledge and wisdom of our entire civilization. When you attacked us, you were not just fighting one ship, you were fighting the combined will and determination of humanity itself. War Commander Vex was quiet for a long moment, processing what he had heard. His species had conquered through fear and violence, but these humans seemed to operate by completely different principles. What will you do with us now? He asked. Will you destroy our remaining ships? Will you invade our territory and enslave our people? No, Kim replied firmly. We will rescue your wounded and return them to you. We will repair your flagship enough for it to make the journey home safely, but you will carry an important message back to your empire and to any other civilizations that might be listening to this transmission. The captain's voice became serious and commanding. Humanity desires peace and friendship with all intelligent species throughout the galaxy. We welcome honest trade, cultural exchange, and cooperation in exploring the wonders of the universe together. But we will not tolerate unprovoked attacks against our people or our allies. Kim paused, letting his words sink in before continuing. Any species that chooses to make war against humanity will discover what your fleet learned today. We may seem few in number compared to vast galactic empires, but we possess something that cannot be measured by ship counts or weapon strength. We have the unbreakable human spirit. The rescue operations began immediately. Medical shuttles launched from the Iron Phoenix, carrying doctors, nurses, and emergency supplies to help the wounded aliens. Human engineering teams worked alongside Krau technicians to repair the damaged flagship's life support systems. No one was left to die in the cold vacuum of space. Dr. Song Hae-rin, the ship's chief medical officer, treated Alien and human patients with equal care in the medical bay. She was 32 years old, with gentle hands and a kind heart that saw no difference between species. When someone needed help, the wounded Crow warriors stared in amazement as their former enemies worked tirelessly to save their lives. As news of the battle spread through subspace communication networks, reactions varied wildly across the galaxy. Some civilizations immediately began planning diplomatic missions to establish contact with these remarkable humans. Others, like the Crow Empire, started reconsidering their aggressive expansion policies. The Zephyrian Council, which governed 17 peaceful worlds, sent a message congratulating humanity on their victory and inviting them to join an alliance of species committed to exploration rather than conquest. The hegemony of Talon, a military dictatorship that had been planning attacks on human colonies, quietly canceled their invasion plans. Captain Kim received hundreds of communications from species he had never heard of. Some offered trade agreements. Others requested protection from aggressive neighbors. Many simply wanted to learn more about humans and their amazing technology. The Iron Phoenix had become famous across the galaxy. In a single day, 3 days later, the repaired Crow flagship departed for home, carrying War Commander Vex and the survivors of his defeated fleet. The alien commander had spent hours talking with Captain Kim, learning about human history, philosophy, and values. He left as a changed being, no longer believing that strength came only from the ability to destroy. As the Iron Phoenix continued its journey home, Captain Kim reflected on what had happened. His crew had not just won a battle. They had announced humanity's presence to the galaxy in a way that commanded respect. The message was clear: humans were a species worth knowing as friends and too dangerous to threaten as enemies. The story of the battle spread from world to world, growing with each telling. Bards sang songs about the brave human crew who faced impossible odds and won through courage and ingenuity. Children played games pretending to be Captain Kim and his heroic officers. Scientists studied recordings of the battle, trying to understand human technology. Years later, when historians wrote about first contact between humans and the greater galactic community, they would point to this single day as the moment everything changed. The day an alien fleet challenged a human warship and was defeated instantly had become the day humanity took its place among the stars. Captain Kim Tae-ho and his crew returned to Earth as heroes, but they knew their real victory was not the battle they had won. It was the future they had helped create. A future where humanity would be respected throughout the galaxy. Not because they were feared, but because they had proven they deserved that respect through their actions. The Iron Phoenix had carried more than just weapons and shields into battle. It had carried the hopes, dreams, and values of the entire human race, and when the test came, they had proven worthy of the trust placed in them. The galaxy would never be the same.